missing that we identified was that we weren't hearing from young people, and we really wanted to censor youth voice, their needs, hear from youth program providers, families, parents, to be thinking about what types of coverage doesn't exist that need to exist, and how can we have young people lead in that charge. And so a lot of that work will be happening through the Newark News and Story Collaborative, where we're looking to build with young people a multimedia journalism project. Can you go to the next slide, Shane? And so with our partners, you should be familiar with Chalkbeat Newark. They do a lot of education reporting here in the city, and the Free Press is all about your right to communicate, having access to the tools and the information that you need to live your greatest life. So again, we want to share youth narratives and also the experiences of young people in this pandemic. What can we have as a recommendation list to give to other journalists, to other newsrooms, to really fill some of those information gaps when we think about education, the digital divide, virtual learning, and some of the tools that young people are identifying that they just need, that program providers of young people are identifying that they need. And there's information that doesn't exist. So we're all coming together to partner, to be thinking about how to not just include these youth narratives, but to also be thinking about how can we provide recommendations for other journalists and newsrooms to really fill in some of the gaps in their reporting. You can jump to the next slide. And so if you are interested in collaborating, if you want to share your information needs with me, or you have some specific story requests that you would like to see in news coverage, whether it be from WBGO or something that we can share with other news outlets and other media outlets, please email me at bharley@wbgo.org. If you just want to learn about the project itself, have some feedback, or maybe even some concerns or just some questions about the ways in which we're including young people or other folks that we need to be talking to, feel free to email me at bharley@stanford.edu, or you can also just call me at the number that's there. And I'll be sure to drop my contact information in the chat. And so if you want to follow us on social media, Shane, that's the next slide. That's our social media. You can follow us on those platforms. We have some stories from residents right now. And so again, if you have an information need that you feel isn't being met, if there's news coverage that you would like to see that you feel you aren't seeing, or information that you need, please, please, please reach out to me. And thank you so much again for having me here and for your time and attention. It's very, very much appreciated.
Yes, thank you, Britt. I wish that we could clap for her. Please clap in your rooms. We can do a silent clap because that was a beautiful presentation. And I really think that the work that you're doing is very significant and crucial in capturing the voice of our young people. So I thank you for that. Now, we are going to move on to our next portion of the day, which is going to be our introduction icebreaker. And how many people are familiar with Kahoot? You can drop something in the chat. Let me know that you're Kahoot. Who's gonna actually win? Because I think we got a prize for the winner today. So when it comes to Kahoot, we're basically gonna just ask you guys a few questions about North Thrives, about the people that are partners today, and just some fun facts. And based on the winner, we'll be able to get them a gift card, $25 gift card. So I want everybody to participate. If you got a phone, get your phone out and get ready. So I'm gonna let it off to Jen, and she will give you guys the link. And you just gotta pull your phone out and let's go. I'm not gonna play because I know the answers. I don't want to beat you guys, so I'm gonna let y'all win today.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Jen, and we are going to play Kahoots. It's a quick, short game, but it's always so fun. Let me open it up. Okay, so you should be opening up your phones, your whatever you want to play on, and this is the pin. Let's see who's going to be the first person to pop up. Kalina, you can't play. None of these providers can play. Y'all know the answers. Okay, we have some names. Y'all providers are not, y'all are not allowed to play. That's wrong. Okay, we have 16 folks, 17 now. Let's give it maybe one more minute. Okay, so we're gonna start in about 30 seconds. All right. 5. Anyone else logging on? Okay. All right, I'm gonna press start. All right, someone said give them a second. I'm gonna wait one more. All right, we're gonna start at 3:14. Okay, we're starting. Here comes the fun. So the first question is, how many youth programs are in the program locator? Is it 156? Is it 150? Is it 9? Is it 25? If you've ever been to an Ignite session, you should know this answer, or you can take a wild guess. It's 256. Okay, Aubrey. That's wrong. Dr. Lamy, you playing this game? What does ALI?
Dr. Lami's not playing. Tremanisha's playing.
What does ALI stand for? Is it Avon Leading Impact? Is it the Abbott Leadership Institute? Oh man, I should have changed my name. Dang, I should have changed my name. I gave that one away to y'all. Okay, Aubrey is still number 1. Question 3. Who is the director of the GEM project? Is it Raz Baraka? Is it Jem Stewart? Is it Amanda? Is it Roger? Who is the director? Three more. Ooh, Nikki's in the lead now. Makai is up next. All right, question number 4. Who is the superintendent of Newark Public Schools? Is it Kalina Berryman? Is it Roger Leone? Is it Catherine Wilson? Is it Sharp James? Three more seconds. It's Roger Leone. And Nikki is still number 1. How many colleges are in Newark? Is it 17? Is it 3? Is it 6? Is it 5? How many colleges are in Newark? Six. Okay, Halima. Nikki's still on top though. All right, you have 2 more questions. When was Newark Thrives founded? Is it April 2016? Is it March 2010? Is it December 2005? Is it January 2020? When was Newark Thrives founded? April 2016. All right, Nikki is still beating everybody. And the last question is, who is the executive director of Newark Thrives? Okay. Seven more seconds. Who is the executive director of Newark Thrives? Dr. Lamy. So who was in third place? Dr. Lamy was in third place. Halima was in second place. And I think Nikki might have been in the first place. There we go. Oh, Nikki. So if Nikki could please put her email. If she can put her email in the chat so we can record that and we'll send you your gift card via email. Good job, Nikki.
And Halima, the third place person is actually Shannon. There's someone named Shannon who was fourth place.
We disqualified Dr. Lamy.
Yeah. So actually, I think Miss Nikki donated her gift card. So second becomes first, fourth becomes second, and fifth becomes third. So y'all got to figure that out. Let them know in the chat who are the 3 students that are the winners. Thank you, Miss Nicole.
We love to see it. I love it. I love it. Friendly competition, and it's all for the kids. So please, like they said, drop those emails for us because we want to follow up with you and give you those gift cards that ALI so graciously sponsored. Make some noise for ALI. Clap it up. Shout out to funding. God is good. All right, so let's get into this first presentation today. So we are going to welcome to the Zoom stage Zanaria J and Arian Witt from After School All Stars. They're going to lead us with our first presentation. So the floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. I am not Zanadia J, and I am not Arian W, but I am Coach J from After School All Stars, and I'm just going to get us started before our ladies take over. But After School All Stars, we are a chapter in this national organization, the New Jersey chapter. We are located in multiple states across the country, so we have a very, very, very wide net of students, wonderful leaders and all stars. But our national mission is to provide comprehensive after school programs that keep children safe and help them succeed in school and life. So safety for us means emotional safety, physical safety, mental safety. We run the gamut of what safety means and then helping them to succeed in ways that they see themselves as successful. So we show them different ways that they can be successful through our enrichment programs, which you'll see some examples of in a few moments. But it's whatever they consider success. We support them and we help them to reach that particular goal, whatever they have for themselves. And our vision is that they're safe and healthy, that they graduate from high school and go to college or another post-secondary educational route, and that they find careers that they love and give back to their communities. So we're now building out our alumni association so that we can have an effective reach with this part of our vision, that we expose them to careers and opportunities while they're in our program so that they can go out and allow that to be something that they pursue, that they get more education on, or something that's just a side hustle for them because their skills can be monetized and we show them that here. And for them to be able to stay connected to their community so that they're not necessarily coming back to the community, but that they continue to stay connected and then give back to them. Go ahead, Zanadia. So these are some of our, go back one, but these are some of the programs that we're offering. We are completely virtual for now, but there is still time to enroll. So if you or someone that you know is looking for an enrichment program for your student, we are offered to all students in the state of New Jersey. And if you're not in New Jersey, then, and you still want to be involved, let me know. We can have a conversation about that. We might be able to make that happen. But we're offering cooking, fitness, beats and rhymes, which is our music production course. Cosmic Beauty is cosmetology. Stitch to Fashion is fashion design. And basic sewing, say it with your hands, is American Sign Language. Weird Science is what it sounds like, weird science, and it covers all different types of STEM projects. And virtue arts, which is visual art and graphic art. And then we also assist with tutoring and homework help if students need that. But we are keeping our options open, and suggestions are always welcome from our students when they share out what courses they want to see with us. We try to make that happen for them. And so you'll hear from two wonderful students who have taken some of these classes with us. And we're hoping to continue to have the same amount of and even more impact than what we've already had with these students. But I'm going to turn this over to them, and you can go ahead and take it away, Zanadia.
Hi, my name is Sanadia Jackman, and I'm a member and ambassador of After School All Stars program. I was one of the first After School All Stars, a part of the New Jersey chapter, to produce and copyright a song on the virtual platform. And through this presentation, I will tell you my journey on ASASNJ on how I created the song Being Black. With the global pandemic, with 2020, hasn't been the best year. This is a year that's going to go down in history books. And a lot of the things that we have experienced during this year is, of course, the global pandemic and racial equality. So yeah, 2020 is definitely something that will go down in history books. While sitting at home, living life through quarantine, Coach Shanae, my mentor from ASSNJ, told me about this virtual class called Beats and Rhymes. So I decided that I was going to join this class, and this is where I met one of my teachers, Mr. Hill, which taught me how to produce and write songs. Of course, I was late joining the class, so I didn't know much to begin with, but, I try to keep in touch with my classmates, and I try to, push through it, with the help of my classmates and with the help of, my teacher, I was able to persevere and create this song. During one of our classes, we talked about the killing of George Floyd and the riot between Black Lives Matter. And honestly, during this, it was a pretty sad moment, doing with police brutality. And, it was just something that, needed to be talked about. And when we were giving one of our projects to produce and record our own song, I wanted to touch on the topic. So as you can see, this is me creating the song with GarageBand. So, as I just said before, to bring a part into my Black Lives Matter movement, I wrote a song about being a Black person in America, which was in a male point of view. Again, using GarageBand, I used loops together and started creating my lyrics, and which is how it turned out, which is doing right now.
Share your sounds, Zanadia.
I apologize.
Born the color of a sparrow, free to fly wherever, however, I am not able. Change around my wings, seeing certain things. The color of my skin makes me attract more than other things. Just driving down the street, playing music, then police come over shouting, "Hey yo, who's this? Put your hands at the wheel, don't make any sudden movement, because they pull a gun on you just for any excuses."
So yeah, that's a clip of the song. Back to the presentation. So that's a clip of the song, and I hope you guys enjoyed. So yeah, that's what I wanted to work on. So with this song, it became a feature of After School All Stars. And honestly, I'd say that it was one of the best songs I ever written. And when I was writing this song, when I was writing this song, I kind of wanted to wake up society. I wanted to show that it's not only adults who recognize these things, but this is kids as well, especially with, today's generation, a lot of things are really just a phone away. We record instances, we see these things, and sometimes we need to show them that this is not only an adult problem. Kids are recognizing these things too. So with my music, I kind of wanted to share this. After School All Stars had teach me that I have a voice, and it helps kids grow and have the understanding of the real world. And I think that's one of the excellent things about joining After School All Stars. And with that, I would like to hand the torch over to Miss Ari.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ariane Wint, and I'm the owner of Lipology by Ari. Go ahead, Denaria. So, good afternoon. I'm Ariane Wint, and I'm an ambassador of the After School All Stars New Jersey program. And as a part of After School All Stars cosmetology class, we learned how to make lip gloss and other cosmetics. I became really interested in how to make my own cosmetics, and that is how Lipology by Ariane was birthed. Through this presentation, I'll tell you more about my experience with After School All Stars New Jersey and how I created my business. So during COVID-19, I had to adjust to a lot, especially with virtual school like other children do. And I joined After School All Stars All Stars After School New Jersey virtual program. I took Cosmic Beauty and Weird Science, and I learned a lot in both classes, but I really enjoyed the cosmetology class. It had everything I enjoyed, such as math, science, and of course, beauty. So during my time in the class, we had different units of my classes. So the units were hairstyles. We learned how to do natural hairstyles such as high buns, cornrows, and stitch braids. We also did bath products. It took me a while to get it, but we made our own homemade bath bombs. And beauty. This class is where I was inspired to make my own cosmetics. We made lip gloss and lip scrubs. So important tips that I used was to research what it takes to start a business, to make sure you have some money to start or someone to invest in you like my parents did, to understand your products so that you're knowledgeable and can recite or look back to people or your customers and say what your products are or what you make, to also have a budget to save your receipts and look for new ways to save. Learn from others that come before you, such as your parents or family members or friends. Take pride in your work and have good customer service. So the summer of 2020 is where Lipology was started. It took me a while to get the gist of what I mainly wanted to sell, who my audience was, and income and expenses. A couple of months later, I had my very first pop-up shop that was successfully done. I'm currently expanding my business to other products such as hair, body, and skincare. My Valentine's Day collection is called All Love, releases on February the 4th. Let's keep in touch, and this is some information that you guys can keep up with my business. Thank you and have a good evening.
Wow, so please, can everybody just unmute for a moment and just for like 10 seconds, show some love to these young scholars.
Well done.
Really great.
Can I just
Okay.
say something? It's Nicole. Can I just say something really quickly?
For
I
sure.
am so proud of Ari and Sanadia. I am so impressed by them. I'm always impressed by them. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity to serve them alongside Coach Janae and Mama D and all of our staff at After School All Stars. Ari and Sanaria represent the hundreds of kids that we serve alongside everybody on this call. All of us serve kids who have amazing and incredible talent. And we are pushing through this pandemic.
Yes.
They have created businesses and created art. They are pushing through this pandemic. So I hope that this encourages everyone on here to just keep doing the work that we're doing. We're pushing through it.
Amen. I just want to say thank you and snap it up for that. I want to just reiterate the importance of, our program providers. And when you really take the time out to listen to your young people and pay attention to what it is that they're interested in and curate your programming around that, you can set them up to succeed in your programming and in the real world. And this is a true testimony to that. We have Zanaria, who's going to be on the Billboard charts, you know what I'm saying, dropping bars about what's going on in the world. And we have Arian, who's going to be the next big beauty influencer. Okay, so we have about a few minutes for some questions. Does anybody have any questions for these two moguls? Please, raise your hand or drop it in the chat, and we'll ask them, get them answered.
Sanadia and Ari, if you could please drop the links, Sanadia to your song and Ari to your website. We know it's not going to launch until the 4th, but your website or your IG, please drop that in the chat so that everybody can continue to follow you.
I have a question for both of you. I'm wondering, what do you think was like the most challenging part of creating your song or developing your business plan? And then which part of it did you enjoy the most?
Hi, my name is Sanadi Jackman. I say that one of the most difficult parts about creating the song was actually creating the beat, because you had to make sure like which parts like go together. Like, let's say if you decided to have like a trombone and a piano, that's kind of a hard thing to put together. So in a way, you just have to like try to figure out what works and what doesn't. I'll say that the most fun part for me was actually creating the video, because as you can see, me and my mom got my baby brother a police officer suit because I wanted him to be in the video, and especially during quarantine, it's really hard to get actors. So I was like, you know what, Xavier, you want to join? Go ahead. So we got him a police officer uniform, and he played as the police officer. So I said that was one of the most fun things that I got to do during making the producing the video and making the music. How about you, Ari?
So for me, I would say the hardest part was actually finding the materials that I needed, because I didn't want to be like everybody else and have the same lip gloss tubes, have the same labels, have the same everything. So when I was looking for a vendor, it was kind of difficult because I didn't want everything to match. I wanted everything to just be different, have a different look to it. And then I would say the fun part about it was I get to meet new people like who do the same thing as me, people who've been doing it for a long time. And when I get to meet them, it's actually kind of heartwarming because I get to see people who've been doing it, have been experiencing it for years and years.
Beautiful. Thank you for that question, Kira. Does anyone else have a question for our moguls?
I have a question.
For sure.
First, I want to say congratulations, ladies. Well done. My question to you is, as a young person, well, even as adults, sometimes we find it difficult to stay motivated and complete our projects. So what motivates you, or what motivated you to complete your projects? And what would you say to other people, especially young people, when it comes to building or developing and creating to stay motivated? What would you say to them as well?
So I'll go for it first. I would say what motivated me was that I actually liked what I was doing. I appreciated what I was doing. I took pride in what I was doing. And I actually love it because I love to do my own makeup. Like I'll play in my mom's makeup sometimes. I just really enjoy it. So what I would say to other kids is that if you really want to do something, you should do it, because you can't just hold back from it. Like even when I was in my cosmetology class, I was really excited about doing it. And I was just like, maybe I just should start a business. And then I just started selling to my family. And then by word of mouth, they were just telling them about like what I do. And so it just spread, and then that's how I started my business. So if you really want to do something, you should do it.
To add on with Ari, I do agree with what she said. You know, if you want to do it, go ahead and do it. And if people tell you that you can't do it, I say that first let them ask them why. Like, why do you think that I can't do this? And when they give you their reason, you know, instead of like letting that take you down, kind of build off of it, you know. Like if they say that you're too young to do this or too young to do that, say that, well, I still have time to grow and I still have time to learn. It's better to start off knowing young than, you know, getting to that age and not knowing at all. So, you know, let that hatefulness like or let that hate trying to carry you on with what you dream to do.
Come on now. They're dropping bars in here. I know you spit usually, but you really dropping bars right now. I want you to know that. I have one more question, all right? And it's from Adorian. And after she goes, we'll move on to our second presentation for the day.
Well, first of all, again, congratulations, ladies. You guys are so incredibly talented and brilliant and just such an inspiration and a breath of fresh air. So thank you for sharing your brilliance with all of us. I have so many questions, but the one question I want to ask is, you know, thinking about where you are right now, right, Zenaria, and your artistry as an artist, Ari, and your business, right, as a young CEO. What's something that you would tell, that you know now, that you would tell yourself when you first started your business or your art that you've learned from along the way?
For me, one thing that I would tell myself is don't listen to the haters. You know, some people are going to be jealous. Some people are going to be, you know, jealous of what you accomplished, and you know, you're just going to have to be like, well, that's your problem, you know? You know, if you wanted to do this, I say go for it, you know? Um you shouldn't be afraid to do things just because of what other people may think of you, you know? You should try and you should try and go on with it anyway, you know? Because as I said before, you can't be afraid because when you're afraid, you're holding yourself back. Sometimes it's okay to be free. It's okay to say if you have an interest in drawing, right? And people are like, oh, drawing's boring. I remember when I first tried rapping, a lot of people in my school said, you can't rap, probably because of how I sound. You know, a lot of people would say, you don't sound like someone who would rap. I was like, you know what? I'm going to try it anyway. And boom, I created Being Black, which was, you know, something that people didn't expect, you know, but I was like, look, I'm not going to let what they say hold me back to it. I'm going to try and do it anyway. So, yeah, don't listen to the haters.
So I don't know. When I first started my business, I wasn't really organized and I didn't really have a plan. So I would say to myself, like, always have a plan for what you're doing, but you don't always have to be so serious. You could at least have fun with some things and just let your imagination roam free. So yeah.
Okay, come on. Let's get one more round of applause for these ladies for the gems that they dropped. You know, that was beautiful. I'm just like, I'm taking away, don't listen to the haters. Because sometimes, you know, no matter what age you get, somebody will always have an opinion. But as long as you're moving in purpose, you know, you'll get exactly where it is that you need to go. So I'm going to open the floor up to our next two presenters, Tamaya and Michelle from the GEM Project. We can silently clap for them as well as they approach the Zoom stage.
So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tamaya Henderson from the GEM Project, and I am a GEM Project Fellow.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michelle Cordova, also a Program Operations Fellow, and today we will be giving an overview of what we do and what we've been working on at the GEM Project.
So since 2006, the GEM Project works to boost high school to college student engagement while supporting on-time graduation rates through peer mentoring, employment, and youth organizing and service learning initiatives that take on a social justice approach.
So at the GEM project, we have 5 core values: communication, community, excellence, integrity, and investment. As a community, we interact with each other through virtual discussions, and through excellence, we encourage ourselves as students in order to perform a social action.
So a typical day as a fellow would be participating in our different cohorts, such as the West Unique or the Central cohort. In the cohorts, we discuss different topics such as social issues, and we collaboratively work together on addressing the issues and the problems. Another thing that we do is organizing activities for our high school and college fellows. And we're motivated by the driving questions, which are how might we design a way to address social issues in a process. Another frequently asked question is how might we develop our own social change orientation or strategy?
And we also have a networking platform that is used to stay connected with others and staff in the organization. You can discover many opportunities, workshops, or even events that may interest you. Overall, interacting through this website helps our fellows stay alert and build sustainable relationships.
So during the time of summer 2020 and fall 2020, we've learned how to explore structural racism and how it has impacted the Black community. We've created issue briefs in which we discuss different topics such as social justice, education, and health. All of this led into our demands in which we had to revise because we wanted to get the community's input and their personal experience. In the summer, we also engaged in rallies, participated in focus groups, talks, and interviews. After our continuation of revising our issue briefs, we went into the direction of creating our own artivism pieces, which brought awareness into the issues that we face today. This shows how the world that we live in isn't how it portrays itself to be. Our art pieces were held in a youth town hall so people can tune in and get a better understanding.
Overall, I've been able to learn unique skills that I wouldn't have thought of before. For example, interacting with a networking platform and working towards our educational and justice demands in our community. And it has benefited me personally because I'm able to take this excellence and inspire others to do the best while in serious situations.
Yes. So my experience at the Gym Project has been overall great. This organization has taught me how to critically think, boosting my confidence and getting out of my comfort zone. Before, I wasn't really able to open up to different experiences, and coming into the Gym Project, I was able to get new experiences and gain more knowledge. Other things that I didn't really do was attend board meetings. When I came to the Gym Project, I attended board meetings and participated in them. And I eventually wound up building relationships. Something that I admire is the fact that this program is so devoted into helping the youth. And lastly, I like the fact that this organization helps me get closer to my career goal, which is to become a criminal defense lawyer.
So we have a couple questions that we would like to ask our audience, and anyone is free to answer these questions. So, in what year was the GEM Project founded?
Okay, they got the answer. The first one, 2006.
Okay. And our second is, what was the purpose of our virtual art museum?
Yep, they got it again.
And overall, what is something that we've learned from this experience?
Power of your voice and the connection in the future. Sure. Yep.
Okay. Thank you, ladies, for sharing. I appreciate you. The floor is now open for questions for you. Um, I want to know if I don't have any other questions right now. I wanted to know about like what was the highlight of working with the GEM project in the remote space? Like, how did you feel supported?
I'll go first. I think in the beginning it was honestly hard to adapt to because in person I don't have to like worry about my tech problems when I'm literally in front of them and I can talk to them. So being in a environment and learning how to adapt to this experience, I think the this organization kind of helped it out even though it was hard. They were supportive and they still tried their best.
Yes, I agree with Tamaya. Like she said, through tech issues, since this is a virtual state, it's so much different than just being in person and actually talking to your the staff, your teachers. So it's very different. But having that strong support system really makes it feel welcome, even being virtual.
Okay, thank you for that. I have another question from Mayori from Newark Arts Edge. She says, how did it make you feel to have your art exhibited to a larger public audience?
Um, at first, it was kind of to me personally, it was kind of scary in a way because I didn't know how like people were going to react to my art piece, and I didn't know like how they would interpret my art piece. So I didn't know if they would feel the same connection that I had. But then I feel like during the moment I was explaining like in my art piece what was going on, I think people started to get a better understanding into the problems that we have today. So I think that was probably like the pro and the con about it. But I didn't really let it get to me as much during the time.
Yeah, like Tamaya said, I was scared because I don't really know how to draw, so I tried my best to just put my own meaning to it, to help me express myself. The art piece is to help us demonstrate our perspective and what we feel about what is going on in the community.
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you, thank you. We have room for one more question. Um, if anyone has something that they want to ask the ladies, I'm sorry about those pops in the back. Going once, going twice. All right, y'all unmute yourselves and clap it up for our presenters today. They did an amazing job. Amanda dropped the actual exam for you guys to navigate in the chat box. So please, check it out, check out their artwork, share it, and just keep the energy going because they're creating art during a pandemic and inspiring people. So thank y'all. All right. So now we are getting ready to move on to the moment that we've all been waiting for, which is our actual panel for the day. So our panel, again, is talking about the topic. It is Our Pandemic Too. And we're going to feature some of the young people that presented today, as well as some other youth from organizations like Sadie Nash, Arts at Newark, and Leaders for Life. So I'm just going to ask all of you who are presenting to, unmute yourself. And I am just going to pull up my first question for the panel. So my first question for my young people today is, how has the pandemic affected your learning experience and desire to be involved in after school programs?
I'll go first. So I would say the pandemic affected like my learning experience because I am a senior in high school, which means that there's like a lot of college stuff that needs to be done. And I feel as though if I was in the building, my counselor would have been more, engaged with me and making sure that important documents were sent out. So that's like, you know, a con about being virtual and being a senior because your counselor has like so many other students they have to work with. And I don't want to sound selfish, but like I would like that she would give me more attention. But slowly but surely things are gonna like work out. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and just so you know, panelists, you all are open to speak if you feel that you want to add something to it. So please, continue that conversation because I want to hear everybody's experience about how the pandemic affected your desire to learn and participate.
Okay, so I would say the pandemic kind of like messed up my 8th grade year because I can't go to graduation and like actually see my friends, but I'm actually doing okay doing virtual learning. What was the second part of the question?
What has it affected your desire to participate in after school programs?
I would say I would prefer to see all my all-stars in person and actually get to know all of them, all the grades, everybody. Like different classes. I would actually like to see my teacher because I'm currently doing the cooking class, and I would like to see my cooking teacher just to see what it's like just to be around.
One thing that inspired me to be a part of the All Star is of course the Beats and Rhymes room. Sometimes, especially during at first quarantine seemed like the bomb.com. No school, party all night. But when you get that same experience over and over and over again, it could kind of be tiring. You want something new, and when everything's closed down and you're stuck in the same four walls every day, it's kind of like great, another day away from school. Hooray. So when I got the chance to join the after school all stars and beat to Rhymes, I was like, hey, this is something that I can do, something to, freshen up life a bit. So yeah, in one way that's kind of how the after school all stars kind of took a toll on quarantine and how it kind of brought light.
Okay, thank you for that. I would like to know, with everything that's going on between the Black Lives Matter movement, the injustice, the insurrection that we saw the other week, those crazy people that tried to break into the Capitol, and then COVID. It's just so much going on. With all that going on, what is motivating you to choose to wake up every day and log into school and log into your programs?
Well, one thing that inspires me to do it is that because I don't like before, I was taking advantage of all this. But then when you realize like this can actually affect my future, though we're on online school, you know, there's an advantage to it. Like you don't need to go to the classes, you don't need to do this. But then when you realize that this could be it could be like this for a while, and when you realize that this could affect your future and not going to these classrooms and not learning, it can be like, wow, you don't realize how important this is just to step on the Zoom room. Though it may be like, oh, why do I need to go there anyway? There's a reason. It may not be like regular school, but it's kind of like a showing of discipline, and it's also a showing of responsibility. So going to class every day is, it may not seem mandatory, but actually it kind of is, because you learn something from it. You learn from your teachers, and that's the reason why you should step on the Zoom room. You should step on the classroom, because there may not be the knowledge that you may get on the Zoom room is not going to be the same knowledge that you get everywhere else, because the teachers keep going on. They're trying their best to like make things to normalize things. They're trying their best to look at the classroom and trying to like piece things together to make you guys feel, more comfort in the home, try to add more, dazzling to the classrooms. So in a way, like it's kind of helps your teacher and it also helps yourself for your future. So yeah.
So to add on to what Zenaria said about the teacher situation, my teachers are actually kind of struggling at doing virtual school. And I would say that even like just showing up to class makes them feel good, just to show your face, just to make them smile, just to see their actual students, because they don't get that experience every day. And I know that some kids are just like, I don't have to turn my camera on. I don't want to speak. I just want to do my work and get done with it. But sometimes the teachers actually appreciate seeing the kids because it feels like they're at school again and they could actually communicate face to face with the students. And I see is that the teachers actually are having a hard time during this pandemic. And I think that it's important for the students to know that as we're struggling, the teachers and all the faculty at our school are struggling as well. And we should at least help them and cooperate with them, knowing that it's a pandemic and that we can't really see each other face to face.
Yes, I agree. And just because we all are struggling during these times, and it's difficult to have, some people don't have that strong support system and self-motivation. I feel like it's very, very important, just push yourself to move forward. Tell yourself, don't give up, even through the hard times that we're facing right now. And just even support each other through a school environment, I think is so, so important to just have within.
I would like to say personally that my end goal is graduating high school. So that's what's motivating me to wake up each morning and attend my classes because, I want to go to college. So if I'm not taking that responsibility to attend my classes and, be present, I won't graduate. And that's what I want to do. So, yeah.
Does anyone else want to add anything before I move on to the next question? Yeah, feel free.
So I feel like one of the things that motivates like understanding like what's my why. So understanding like why do I want to wake up? Why do I want to achieve certain things and actually breaking that down. And every day it is hard and it is difficult to get out your bed and take a shower. It's like the littlest things, but it's the things that you do now that can impact you later on in the future.
I agree because I was motivated by the fact that I went to a college board talk and they started discussing like the minimum GPAs and all the things that you needed to have in order to go to college. And when I seen that, it really made me set certain goals. So like once I set my own goals, I was like, I know I have to do X, Y, and Z in order to accomplish the goals. So I just started doing those steps. I just started working towards those goals, and that really acted as my motivation.
Beautiful. Thank y'all. I love the fact that, despite the hardships that we've been facing, you guys are remaining strong and self-motivating. It's a reminder for me as an adult, and I think the other adults in the room to keep going. So I think I salute you, for speaking from such a good place. So I know that it's not always, good and easy to stay self-motivated. So I want to know, like, what do you guys do when you feel overwhelmed from the virtual learning experience and, just life in general? How are you guys coping with that? What do you do to get through those moments?
Can I go?
Well, first, I want to open it to the panelists first.
Okay.
And then after that, we'll open it up to the rest of the room.
So I would say when I made my business, it kind of like helped me cope with the whole pandemic thing and that I couldn't see my family members. I couldn't see my friends a lot anymore. So I think my business really helped with that because it's something that I enjoyed and something that I could benefit from. So I would say my business definitely helped me cope through the pandemic.
Okay. I see Zenaria raised her hand, and then we'll go on to Tamaya.
Sometimes you just need to take a breather, like after school, or maybe during the weekends, take a break from technology, maybe write down how you feel. That can be some ways how you could try to relieve yourself and relax. I know I like to write music, so usually during my free time I would write music. I would think of cool beats to make, but if you're not someone who is into music, or just writing in general could be something you want to do. If you like to draw or create art, that's something that you can do during your spare free time. Like sometimes just do things that you like to do. Like what Ari said, she likes to help promote her business. So if that's something that you like to do, if you like to create your own business, or you like to promote your own business, then that's something that you can do to your free time. Just something that will distract you from, everything that's going on in the world, and try to, relax your mind a bit.
Yeah, it was similar to what I was gonna say. Is just try to keep yourself productive during these times. We're usually home and you're not able to really do anything. You can't go to the gym and work out, but there's videos on YouTube to look up. So me personally, I like the gym project because it keeps me distracted from school and it's something different. And then I also do sports after school, obviously virtually, but it keeps me active. And then on Saturdays, I have another program. It seems like a lot of stuff, but it's a way to keep me productive. So,
Just to add one more thing, I would say self-care is really important, because I know during these times, lots of people just like, I don't have to dress up. I don't have to really like take care of myself anymore. I know I stopped doing that for like a month or so, but I'm guilty of it. I mean, so now even with my business, I'm started making body products just for your body, just to relax. They're very aromatherapy like. So I've just started making lavender products because I know a lot of people like that. So yeah, I would say self-care is a very big thing.
Okay, I want to say something. Hi, my name is Azariah. I'm from Leaders for Life. And the thing that motivates me the most is because, okay, well, I graduated December the 11th, 2020, but the thing that motivates me the most to still come is I'm the JAG president for my school. So I started a campaign for mental health because I know during this pandemic, a lot of people are like mentally struggling and they have problems. And, not everybody has someone to talk to. And basically, we're just like basically studying the mental illness that people have, and we're putting it on a poster, and we're actually doing hotlines for people. Like some people don't want to just come out and tell, or some people don't know how to come out and tell, so we're just making hotlines and stuff so they can call, like support groups and everything. So that's what motivates me the most to still come every day during the COVID.
Thank you. And I'm seeing some comments about they want to know about the campaign that you're supporting, because they definitely want to, come through and support you, because mental health is crucial. So I salute you for, prioritizing that. And thank you guys for your words. I think self-care is important. And a lot of times schools they don't prioritize it. And they prioritize you learning, but they may not prioritize you taking care of yourself. So I salute you for doing that. I wanted to ask you another question, because since we talked about self-care, outside of your program in school, what are some other community issues that have affected you as a young person in Newark, aside from COVID-19? Because I think that's important for your providers to know.
Can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, no problem. I want to know what community issues have affected you outside of, just COVID-19 and the pandemic. I know that there have been, and if it's a little too personal, you don't have to dive in. But I know some people have had affected, like watching their siblings at home, and sharing computers, having to share phones. Some people have had issues with food or graduating, actually getting their work done in a safe space. So I think anything around that lens you know, that if you feel comfortable enough sharing, I think it would, you know, just help providers know that it's not just a pandemic. There are other things that we deal with outside of our program.
Hello, may I answer?
Sure.
I know as my mother told me, as a black young male, there's 3 strikes against me. So growing up in a neighborhood like Newark, it's very hard at certain times because I wouldn't say that you're being always watched and like profiled, but you're not as laid back as you would be at a normal place when you feel comfortable. So I say in the city of Newark, one of the struggles that you have to face is never being able to kind of put your guard down and always having to be aware of your surroundings and looking around on where you are and trying to just stay safe in a place that really isn't the safest. So I would say in my part of Newark, um, it's a struggle to stay safe or be aware of my surroundings.
Thank you, TJ. And that's very real. You know, a lot of us think that it's just easy to log in, but our students are facing real things. So I think as a provider, it's important to check in when you are, you know, asking your students to do certain things, because they may not have the luxury that you have from working from home. Does anybody else want to add something? I really would love to hear from some other students on the panel.
May I?
Yes, you may.
All right, so I would like to add on to DJ. Of course, that was the reason why I wrote the whole song during the pandemic, because we saw what happened to George Floyd. We saw what happened to George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. And with these things going out in the world during the pandemic, it can be kind of dangerous. But in a way, it's like when I see the situation, in a way, like there's no other way they're going to hear us, Like we did with Martin Luther King, we did the peaceful protest, but it didn't get far enough as we wanted it to. And sometimes you need to be loud. Sometimes you need to be louder for people to hear you. I wouldn't say that honestly, I wouldn't say that it was the safest idea to do it during the pandemic because, a lot of people could get sick or could be hurt. However, I do believe that it was right for them to stick up for their rights. So in a way, how I did it to be more safer and trying to be including with the Black Lives Matters, that I wrote a song about it, Like sometimes things like this could be ways how you can time in while keeping everybody safe. So that in a way, that's the reason why I wrote the Black Lives Matter song. And that was the reason why, I'm trying to include with my community. So TJ, in a way, I just like to thank you for, mentioning that out loud.
You're welcome. I just want to touch on that because, it's an important issue that we have to face.
Yes, it is. And I love to hear it from our young, our babies, we are Black, we have to face this when we step outside every day. And that does take a toll mentally and physically, seeing people being murdered, that look like you, that are close to your age, be disrespected. So I think that it's crucial. So I want to pivot towards the providers and ask Amanda, Coach Jay, and Kendra, what did your organizations do to address the Black Lives Matter injustice issue this summer? Like, how did that go over with the young people you serve?
Wow.
So,
Yeah, so I don't know if I can go, but anyway, so what we essentially did is, with transferring a lot of our programmings online, allowed us to expand our reach with youth. And so we were able to convene a lot with different young people, but particularly for this summer, our fellows, they worked on the issue briefs. I know Tamaya and Michelle touched on that quite a bit, but during that time, not only were they expressing themselves about what was going on in the community through the arts, but they were also researching about the root causes that impacts Black and Brown communities centered around health, justice, and education as it relates to racism and injustice. So they got to understand the historical side of things. And then they also were able to kind of be mentored with their peers. So we had both high school and college students working alongside each other to really go through different things and talk about different things in a very like safe space. And we try to create a very personal like community, even though we had a good group of young people in the program, but we tried to make everything kind of like more like little smaller cohorts out of a bigger cohort, so people can feel more in touch and connected with each other, acknowledging the fact that this is a very not natural environment as it is, and also talking and unearthing these sensitive topics. But we definitely leaned on a lot of different program partners during the time, YMS, ALI. We had our young people be able to develop a youth rally around these issues. They were able to speak with different politicians, school board members. Dorian Murray Thomas was also able to hear about their issues and concerns and demands. So just basically creating that type of forum was important for us to do, and also just to meet our young people where they're at too, because they were also experiencing different things while in program, and so that was important to also be very flexible.
Hi, it's Kendra from Leaders for Life. Over the summer, I just wanted to talk a little bit about our middle school program. They actually worked on a presentation and a project on Black Lives Matter. My coworker, Ms. J, is actually...
Wait.
You're muted, Kendra.
All right. Did you hear anything? Did you guys hear anything?
You said my coworker, and then
okay,
it went mute.
Sorry. Yes, Ms. J is actually looking for the link to the video to share in the chat with you guys so you guys can view the work they did. And we just had open dialogue and open conversation with the students. And I would say the feedback was great, getting just to hear their voice and how they feel about it. I would say just hearing TJ speak, it was very similar to a lot of our students. A lot of our students, they felt, Black Lives Matter, but they wanted it to matter all across the board, even with the killing that's happening, a lot of the killing that happens in Newark. A lot of them was saying they were more concerned about that than the police killing, and it's only their opinion and it's only fair. So I think just having that peer group and having them discuss the way they're feeling and just understanding and even having that conversation, we had open conversation about, have any of them ever talked with their parents about what to do if they're stopped by a cop and things in that matter. Some have, some didn't. Some say they didn't really think too much about it. And like I mentioned before, some said they were more scared of, other people that looks like them. So that was really what we did to address the Black Lives Matter movement. And I think they did a great job. And you guys can view the video on our Instagram page if we're not able to get the link in the chat. Oh, it's there. Oh, I'm sorry. It's there, guys. All three of them, because it was actually Black Lives Matter, women's suffrage, and the Newark riots. So all three of the links are there. You guys can check that out of what our students did over the summer.
Yes, also at Sadie Nash, we had, we transitioned our summer institute into our summer action project, which was our virtual summer institute. And we have various social justice classes. So just to name a few, we had disrupting education that focused on how institutional racism and sexism shows up in schools. So participants engaged in topics around how we can learn and unlearn in the classroom. And we went over things like unequal impact of school dress codes. Another workshop or another class was a healing justice class, and it focused, it had 3 goals, which addressed and amends harms caused by crime, and also included all of the involved parties in resolution and what it looks like to reintegrate victims and offenders back into their communities successfully. And then we have various workshops, and one of my favorite was a poetic justice workshop, which offered an introduction to writing poetry, and how we are like having students explore how they're capable of being creative and what that looks like within a pandemic and within the Black Lives Matter movement. I would say most recently, I facilitate our college programs. And we've created intentional space for students to kind of like process their thoughts and emotions, not only because I think there's one aspect of it where you want to understand what's actually going on. Then you also want to allow students to process their thoughts and feelings. So we've done that in class around like the storm on Capitol Hill, and also what that means for our country, while also talking about what our hopes are. I think it's important to be hopeful during this time. And just how we navigate social unrest and the pandemic. And we've also, so I guess just throughout the years, we've incorporated wellness days, but this year we've incorporated even more wellness days. And we've also had small support groups that are facilitated by our social work interns. And it just allows a space for Nashers. We call our participants Nashers, for Nashers to come in and talk about like current events, what's going on in their personal lives, and just for them to have like a shared understanding with other students like them.
Thank you, Kira. Coach Jay.
For After School All Stars, I think that we make it a point to incorporate Blackness, brownness, and prioritizing the beauty in that throughout our program, virtually and in person. It's something that we focus on when we're at our sites. It's something that we've of course focused on now, but we incorporate courageous conversations and allowing our students to really share their voices through those conversations or through town halls, or just being expressive in their classrooms, suggesting lessons about what they want to know about, because we want to know how they're feeling and we want to be able to help process with them. But we want them to know also that this is not something that is new. It's not something that just happened this year. It's not something that just happened 5 years ago, but this has been the unfortunate history of our country, the unfortunate history of many parts of the world. And so we want for them to know and acknowledge that, and to not be ashamed of it, but to be empowered by the fact that we have come so far and that there's so much more for us to do, and that they can take part in that process. But some of the ways specifically that we have addressed that in our program is, of course, through the arts. So we have our Beats and Rhymes course, where students can identify what they want their songs to be about, what issues they want to bring attention to in their music. Zanadia chose to talk about Black Lives Matter and police brutality in her song. She also talked about mental health in a different song. And addressing that, and that's not something that's commonly talked about in Black and Brown communities as something that is common, and it quite often is. But we also have I have to take notes on myself because because I tend to forget some of the things that we do. But we also have done other forms of art with them. We've done visual art with them. We have a virtual arts class where the instructor of that class addresses her students as kings and queens. So if you go into that class, say for instance, if you are a Kelly in that class, you are addressed as Queen Kelly when you come into the room. Or if you're Shane, you're addressed as King Shane when you walk into the room. So she just wants them to know the royalty that they walk in, and acknowledge that, and to be comfortable in that, and addressing each other in that, and knowing that it's truth. I did a dance with Zanadia last year called Masterpieces by Jasmine Sullivan, just to showcase to our young ladies that they are strong, that and they don't have to be strong Black women, but that is often the picture that we're painted as. But they can be soft, they can be fragile, they can be vulnerable, but no matter what and who they are, that they're masterpieces in their own right. We also did a poem, 100% Black, with students that are not 100% Black. You know, they might have a little trinkle in them, but to be proud of the Blackness that they hold in them. And then we're also, Ari and Zanati are both part of our ambassador program, our student leaders. There are 4 young ladies that are in that program. And what we're doing right now is we are focusing on them acknowledging what issues exist in their communities. They identify what their community is and the breadth of what that is. They identify what the issues are. And a common issue was social injustice and in the form of education, in the form of policing, in the form of government, in the form of language, in the form of friends at school. So we're reading a book, The Tip of the Iceberg. It is not completely direct, it's not directly related to Blackness in any way, but it helps to get your mind thinking about an issue beyond just surface level and really to get to the root of what an issue is and to help them think through that in that kind of a way so that they know and acknowledge how to think about those things. And when they see that there's an issue that's happening, they don't see it as just the issue, but they see it as a symptom of the real root, deep set issue that's there. So those are just some of the things that we do with All Stars, and we're continuing to find ways to address that and different social issues in our program.
Salute. I know that's right. It's so amazing. I want to definitely shout out to the women leaders in here. Our Black women are doing the work and, you know, just taking out that space to make our babies feel prioritized, you know, especially on an emotional and a feeling level. So we're nearing the end of our panel. But I do want to end it with youth voice. So this question was curated by Dr. Lamy, and it's asking you students, you know, if you were able to talk to the mayor, superintendent, or somebody that's like an important person, what would you tell them about your current needs as a student during this time? Zanari, I think you started talking. Yep, you can unmute yourself.
Oh, my current needs right now. I remember one time I talked to the superintendent, Mr. Leon, about the lunches at our school, but this was before the pandemic. Apparently one time we found mold in our applesauce, which was a problem. So we decided to talk to him about we should have food with nutritional benefits and more nutritional benefits, because a lot of kids decided not to eat the cafeteria food because of how it looked. So a lot of kids were, going hungry, decided not to eat, which could have affected, learning, and could have affected, how they reacted towards the day. But during how we are now, I believe that one of the things that probably could be given out is maybe school supplies. They probably already, have that, at the beginning of the year. But if the school is willing to giving out more often, I believe we needed a protractor for the lessons that we learn at home. And apparently, like, a lot of students that have those, like my mom was able to, afford me a protractor. So I was like, okay, I have what I needed. But when I saw with other students, they didn't have that. So the teacher had to, print one out and, let the students use the printout version. But that can be something hard to use, especially using it with papers. So I believe that one of the things that could be more, that could help the students is having more school supplies, like maybe pencils, paper. I believe sometimes my brother colors in classroom, he probably needs more crayons. So that's definitely one thing that if I were to speak to the superintendent would be about school supplies, more school supplies for the students.
I'm sorry. Can I build off of Zenari? Is that okay?
Of course. Don't apologize. Speak, brother.
Okay, so I definitely agree 100% on what you're saying. Like I agree 100% because I feel as though now we need school supplies for the students more than ever. Because at first they said due to the COVID virus we were going to go to school in, I believe, November. Then it got pushed back to January. Then it got pushed back to April. Nobody has a real day on when this is going to end. So I feel as though now the students that are at home and we cannot use the in-school advantages, I feel as though we should also get school supplies at home so we can help each other out, because the teacher often tells us to print out work, which sometimes that helps and sometimes that doesn't help. But we need things such as rulers, protractors, So I feel as though if I could talk to the superintendent, I would say we just need that bit of a push to get more school supplies inside our homes, so the students can actually try to. We would get harder. We would work harder because we can actually use the proper materials and not just use a makeshift material. Another thing that I will talk to them about, I would say, is the teachers. I feel as though the teachers are a important part right now because they're kind of the shoulder that we have to lean on. You know, some people don't have that shoulder to lean on. So I feel as though maybe, the teachers could be more of a help. Like some teachers are great. I have this one teacher that helps me out, but I feel as though teachers could start helping students now because there's a lot of death in the coronavirus, and it's a lot of death with this pandemic. So I feel as though maybe we could have the teachers could start talking more, and it could be a part of their quota. Like they can help students who are struggling or having these at home issues. But that's what I would say.
So I'll
Thank
go
you, TJ.
next. To bounce off of TJ, I would say one thing that I would talk to our superintendent about is having like counselors for the teachers, because I know a lot of teachers are going through a rough time. One of my teachers was out for like a month because a family member had passed due to COVID, and she was having a really tough time. And when she came back, she was like very sad, very depressed, and she had to go out again. So I would say counselors for the teachers. I would also say more nutritional foods based off of Zenaria, because I know my school, they're giving away lunches, and the lunches that they're giving, they're not the best. I know there's sandwiches, like ham sandwiches and stuff like that. But I know some students from before COVID are like vegan. They don't eat those types of food. And if their parents can't afford those types of food, I would say the school should provide vegan lunches, and they should also provide nutritional lunches. And then the third thing I would say is like kind of like speeding for the computers, but I had a student in my class whose computer wasn't working for like about a month, and the teachers were kind of getting on him about not finishing his work, not submitting work and not doing it, not participating in class. And the student got a failure for the first marking period because he didn't have a computer. So I would say the teachers or the school faculty should at least have a little bit of speedness for the computers, because then it will end up leaving the child in failure.
So Kelly, Michelle, Azariah, Tamaya, is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, I'll go. So when I think about what I would like to talk to my mayor about, I live in East Orange, and in the past summer we were able to do like a virtual work experience. So I would like bring that up to him, and how like many kids right now are like wanting to work but don't have that opportunity because of COVID, obviously. And most places are either not hiring or the process is like very slow. Sorry. But like I would bring that up to him as like a way for like kids to like be motivated and have something to do while they're at home besides like school. So yeah.
Okay, can I say one thing? And it's gonna be okay. So my thing is about the pandemic and the virtual learning is more of, I know someone said like it's hard on teachers, but not every student is used to doing it virtual. So it's kind of more harder on them because they're used to being like face to face. So I feel like more teachers should try to spend time individually with certain students that they feel is failing, or or who need more help.
One more thing. I know our school, they have like after school hours, and a bunch of students go to this after school hours like to finish work or if they need help with work. I think it should be actually longer, because there's a lot of students that come to support classes and can't actually get their questions answered or either get help from a teacher. So I would say longer support period.
Well, thank you guys for your words. I love that. I loved how selfless you were. Like whenever you guys talked about your needs, you kind of talked about what you needed, but also what some of your peers needed. So, I definitely salute you for that. So everybody, that concludes the panel portion. So please clap it up for our brilliant students. Let them know that you support them, because I love how confident y'all were and honest you were. So at this point, we're gonna open it up to a Q&A portion where we can have, a free-flowing conversation for the next, 20 minutes or so. So please drop your question in the chat if you have a question, and then I'll call on you, and then, you can unmute and start to speak. So if you have any questions for any of the panelists, the students, or the program providers, please drop your questions in the chat, and I will call on you, and then you can unmute and ask the question. Okay. So I know one person had a question. They sent it to me privately, and it's Britt Harley. Her question was for Amanda and Coach Jay. Britt, did you want to read your question, or do you want me to? All right, I'm gonna read it. So, Amanda, all the program providers, what practices and tools can you share when it comes to centering youth needs and consistent engagement, since you had to pivot to being virtual?
Okay. Okay. So there's a lot of things. One of the things that I noticed or we try to pay attention to is how the pandemic hit us early in the year versus how it hit us summer and then fall. And from our observations, we were able to help boost engagement. And so when everything started to hit mid-March, we saw how the inequities and the digital divide was, even up till today, is still a big issue. But we also saw a lot of issues with engagement earlier on. And so we started to brainstorm, the answer was kind of like, how can we make sure that we keep all of our young people? How can we make sure that we can get 80% or close to 100% engagement? And so one of the things that we started to think was like scheduling, right? We started thinking, reimagining what scheduling looks like, understanding that if we're suffering from Zoom fatigue, our young people are going to might also be experiencing the same thing. So we started asking questions and things of that nature. And so what we did was make sure that we gave a kind of a break between school day and programming. And then we also created alternative scheduling. So we created scheduling that fits maybe 2 standard schedules for young people that they could follow based off of their schedule. So they have 2 options. But then we created a third option, which is kind of like an a la carte option, where we recorded, we had certain modules, we had certain things. It's kind of like engage as you go. And that allowed youth who were in college to stay connected. That allowed youth who had conflicts to still be a part of the program. And so those are some of the things that we did. But the other thing that worked the best was implementing a coaching system. And so a lot of our program managers in our program have set groups of youth that they engage with on a day, not just a day-to-day basis, but on an off day. So for example, if we have our program, we have youth organizing social justice activities, maybe 2, 3, 4 times a week. And then there's 2 other optional days. Those are the days usually our program managers make sure that they touch base with how the youth are feeling. And then that allows us to inform how we engage different young people in different ways by understanding what's going on at home, understanding what's going on at school, to figure out what resources we could provide for them. And so that is just the different ways in which we have been looking at programming. It's more about how can we make it more intentional to the needs of the youth, to make sure that we don't lose young people, because it's so easy to lose young people in different ways. And so that's kind of what our priorities have been. So that's fun.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you.
I think how All Stars has continued to keep our students and families engaged is meeting them where they are. So before this, All Stars was not a tech-friendly organization. So we didn't have digital applications. We didn't have any of that. Everything was on paper, from our filing to our applications to enrollment, everything was on paper. But within about a 2.5 week period, we went from completely traditional and in person to being able to launch a program where everything was at the fingertips of parents and students. So now we have a website, we have a digital enrollment, we have all these systems that are set in place that make it easy, not only for the students and families, but also it makes it easier for our instructors for those classes, but then also meeting the parents and students where they are in providing them with the supplies that they need for each course. So I hadn't mentioned that before at the beginning of the All-Star presentation, but for each student in each of our courses, they get a bundle of supplies for what they need for that session or for a specific amount of time if there's anything perishable. But we provide that for them. So if it's the cosmic beauty class, they'll get a mannequin and combs and bath bomb ingredients. Or if it's the music class, Nadia made the example of, we provide the iPads for them so that they have access to GarageBand to produce their music and create beats. And we have a centralized location where families can come and pick up those materials. And the location that we chose is kind of in the center of where our in-person sites were. Just keeping in mind that, a lot of our families don't have cars, or if they do have a car, maybe the family member is using that car to go to work. So they're not able to, drive a far distance or get to an area that's really far away, but putting that pickup location in a space where they're able to get access to it. But then also just keeping in mind the thoughts of our students. So we take very seriously at All Stars our student voice. So if they're mentioning something that they don't like, we're going to take it into consideration. If they mention something that they do like, that we need to do, some pivots that we need to make, we take that seriously, and we try in many ways to implement those things into our program, because ultimately, if we're not making them happy, we don't have a program, because we won't have students and we won't have anybody to provide to. So we take that seriously in our program, and just listening to them and meeting them where they are.
If I could piggyback really quickly for Coach Jay, this is Nicole again.
Oh, Nicole, I do want to give room to the next question, if that's okay, just because we have about 10 minutes left. So I do want to allow other questions to come through, if that's okay. So Dorian had a question that she wanted to ask. So Dorian, you can unmute yourself and ask it to the young people.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be brief because I know we don't have that much time left. But I just want to say how inspired I've been by all of you young people, as someone who's born and raised in the city, who lives and works in the city, who works with young people your age. This was just so moving and inspirational. Actually, in a few moments, I'll be going to a board meeting, and I cannot wait just to share out a school board meeting to talk about how incredible each of you and your organizations are. Again, none of your organizations are strangers to me. But it's always such a pleasure seeing this work up close. But that's actually connected to my question. I wanted to know if the students and the providers will be interested in some kind of collaborative effort to compile almost like a kind of set of recommendations or guidance that you would like for the school board here in Newark, which I serve on, to really take into account, and not really take into account, but like, let's actually work on some ways that we can hold folks accountable systematically to the recommendations that you develop, if that is a path you go through. That's something I've been thinking a lot about over the past year and a half on this board. It's like, the board and the district needs to do a better job of actually having places where not only young people and community voices heard, but there are actually mechanisms for it to make an impact, right? So not just listening, but taking action. And so I don't have the perfect answer to that, but I would just be curious to see if the students would be interested in working with the other students from across your organizations to come up with a list of recommendations and thinking about different ways you can lift those up, either to the school board. That's just one entity, but I mean, you spoke about the mayor of this state legislatures, a number of ways that y'all can collaborate and leverage your voice to impact real change. And I'm happy to be a thought partner and supporter in this in any way I can.
Yeah, I will definitely say we are interested. That's what this space is for. So I think it's definitely on us as providers to create and connect and hold intentional space. So as Newark Thrives grows this year, we'll be, we're currently in a strategic plan, but we'll be sending out opportunities for providers to be engaged and like follow up on this work. Lauren's actually taking notes for today, so we'll have a list of recommendations and stuff that we'll be able to share out. So just, please keep in touch with us and go to the next session for parents so that we can, synthesize the information we learned today. So thanks for that, Adorian. I know Kalina had a question for Azariah. Would you like to ask that, Kalina, directly?
Yeah, I just wanted to know, Azariah, I was really fascinated about her work around mental health. And I just wanted to know from her, mental health shows up differently with young people. It's not always clear that they are going through challenges. So I'd just like to know from Azariah, what are some of the things that your peers are saying are the most challenging in the pandemic? Is it the remote learning? Is it family? Like, what are the challenges that those of us who provide should be aware of?
Okay, so from my point of view, from watching my surroundings, basically, I really think it's like the family. Mostly you're in the house all day. Well, not all day, but it depends. Like, a lot of things are shutting down. So really, it's like you barely can go anywhere. And like some people actually get, like, I've been reading up on stuff, and a lot of people have been getting depressed, staying in the house. They don't have nothing to do. And basically, like, during the research and things that my classmates are doing, it's just like they didn't like the signs that, okay, when we look it up in the signs that they see, it's like nobody actually, figured like certain signs, you'll never know if a person is going through that sign, but the way they react to it, it's like, maybe they might have it, maybe they don't, but maybe they know someone around them. A lot of people, when they were researching it, they like were basically realizing like the people around them may be affected by that certain mental illness. So it's just really like impacting us and the information. Like, it's some stuff that I didn't know, and I notice it around me. So it's like, you don't know how to tell somebody, but that's why, like, when as we like continue in the project proceed, we do hotlines, and we're trying to work on a commercial and give good quotes and stuff for the people, who need help and who don't know how to reach out, and who don't know how to use their voice, and give them ways to, use their voice. So yes.
Thank you, Azariah. It's really awesome.
Thank you for that. I have one last question before we lead to our conclusion, and that is from Lauren Meehan from Arts Ed North. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to TJ. He had technical difficulties, and so he joined at the end, but he's one of our rock star arts education students. He's done a lot of really great theater work and spoken word work through NJ PAC, and he is the voice of our 10th anniversary package video. So If you get a chance to watch that beautiful, just amazing voice that you're hearing is TJ's voice. But also part of what inspired me as the director of arts at Newark is that every single student on this call described how they use the arts to help them through tough parts of the pandemic, whether that was participating in youth development programs from our providers here on the call that provided them with that arts instruction, or seeking it on their own. And so I was interested in hearing from the young people, why do you feel the arts are so powerful for young people, particularly in tough times like right now?
Say that one more time. Maybe just ask it one more time.
Absolutely. So for the young people who are on the call, I'd be interested in hearing from you what you think it is about the arts that are so powerful for young people, especially in difficult times like right now.
You talk. I've talked enough.
All right. Thank you. I said that one of the things that in the arts that, helps young people is that it represents freedom, Like with, as I said before, with Miss Janae, I did a dance, and this dance was basically about woman, and it's okay to be who you are. It's okay to be soft. It's okay to be strong. It's okay to show your feelings. So when discovering or talking about the arts, it's all about freedom. It's freedom to create. It's the freedom to create, the freedom to say your feelings. It's the freedom to basically write or say or draw how you feel. So that's why the arts are very important. The arts are to share how you feel, and maybe there's someone out there in the world who feels exactly how you do, and in a way, to your music or to your artwork or to your poetry, they feel the same way.
Fantastic.
TJ, I know you wanted to say something. You could definitely get it in before we wrap the panel up.
The camera is I want to turn it on. But number one, thank you, Miss Lauren, for saying that. Yes, thank you. And number two, the arts has helped me out tremendously. They changed my path and my way of life. At first, you think I ever would think that I would voice things and I would have so much power with my voice and the way that I speak. But this can go for everybody. The arts can change your life, because when you realize your talent, you don't want to give it up. When you realize what you have, it's not something that you want to give away. And it's something that you work on, and it's something that distracts you from not the real world, but it's something that distracts you from what's going on in this messed up life that we live in, because it can make you feel positive. It can make you feel happy. It can make you feel things that you really never felt before when you have a talent in the arts. And anything can be a talent in the arts. You can tap your foot and make a beat, and you can be a part of the arts, and it can make you feel better for that 1 second in time. You can speak with your voice. Everything is considered an art, and the arts can make you feel very special about yourself and the people around you. So that's why I think the arts is important, especially in a city like Newark.
Come on, clap it up. Clap it up. It's the youth for me. It will always be the youth for me. So I just want to say, y'all, thank you so much for coming out to today's first series. The Ignite session series is Our Pandemic 2. We will be having one more session next week, Tuesday, from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. And since we focused on the youth perspective this week, next week we'll be focusing on the parent perspective. And we'll have presentations from ALI, Helena Berryman and her team will speak. And we'll have Kendra Daniels and a parent from Leaders for Life. So please, if you notice, I sent out a message that it asks you to fill out the survey for today's session, because data is important. And in order for us to keep these opportunities going, we got to show people why it's important and show people that there's value in it. So please fill that survey out for me real quick. And if you haven't already, registered for next week's session. Tell a friend, tell another parent or a program provider to come out and learn something. So yeah, I appreciate you all. I'm gonna send that message one more time. And I'm gonna just play some music in this last 10 minutes as you all complete this survey, and then we'll wrap the meeting up. I'm also gonna drop my email for anyone who wants to reach out to me to collaborate and to connect. I've gotten some emails already, and I am super stoked, you know, that programs are interested in finding ways to address the needs of our youth. So yeah, just invite me, you know, invite me to something, invite me to a meeting, and let's collaborate. So I'm about to play some music.
Hey, before we go into the music, I just want to thank all of our collaborating partners, Kalina Berryman, Jennifer, we love you, Abbott Leadership Institute, Amanda, you're amazing, Coach Jay. All of you guys were phenomenal in putting this together.
Yes, I remember.
Arts at Newark, of course, you know, Lauren, always a collaborative partner. So we love you all. You
So,
make
yeah,
this
you
work
have it right
possible.
now, huh? Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Miss Holman, we can hear your conversation.
I'm over here trying to mute. Oop, how do I do this? But yes, Dr. Lamy, thank you to our partners, After School All-Stars, the GEM Project, WBGO, Arts at Newark. I hope I'm not forgetting anybody. Sadie Nash, Leaders for Life. Okay.
Before we end, Shane, I just want to actually extend a thank you to you. Thank you for having Leaders for Life be a part of this great opportunity. The youth on the Zoom today was just, it blew me away. Thank you for having us be a part of it. Thank you for putting this together. This was really beautiful and amazing, and I really appreciate this opportunity.
It was my pleasure. It wouldn't be possible without you. You feel me? It's a team effort. So I appreciate y'all. And please drop that survey.
Throw that L's up.
Please.
Throw your L's up.
Okay.
That is.
What's good, Mr. White?
Leaders for Life, baby. South Ward. We running.
Oh my goodness.
We love it. Oh, thank you, Khadijah.